Yo, what is good, everybody? It is ya boy, Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and your boy's back. I'm back with a brand new What If. What if Isagi was Noel Noa's son? Before anybody says anything, I know Noel Noa is like 31 years old. Now, obviously, I'm going to be taking some creative leisure with this. I'm going to be aging up Noel Noa just a couple of years and aging down Isagi a little bit as well, just so that we have some realism in that way. But yeah, I'm not gonna waste that much more of your time because I got some stories to get into in terms of what we're going to be doing in this What If. So with that said, let's get right into it. Let's get it. Isagi was born to soon to be the best striker in the world. Noel Noa is a monster in present, the best striker in the world entirely, a complete forward with supreme physicality. He's able to shoot with both of his feet, and he just has an overall all-powerful shot. Someone that is so elite that it feels as if he's the best striker and it's not even close, or even the best forward and it's not even close. Now, with that said, Noel Noa, when he was younger, would actually get a girl pregnant. And there wasn't that much to it, really. They were in a relationship for a good while, and they more or less were talking about the future endeavors of Noel Noa. But once he got the opportunity to more or less take his chance in the big leagues, and this is him being in France and their more or less next step right before their national team, he was so excited that, they did the thing. And when they did the thing, well, everything kind of happened a little fast. Noel Noa would end up getting her pregnant. Now, immediately, as the stand-up guy he is, he would say that he'll shut everything down. He'll help her raise this child and so on. But she would tell him that she doesn't want him to do that. That she wants him to become the best striker in the world. Be the person that she knows he can be. She says that she has some parents and family back in Japan, and that she can go to Japan and get help raising this child. And he can help, or she can help, or he can help her in terms of finances whenever he gets the chance and whenever he can. And once he's rich and famous, then there you go. He can help take care of their son or daughter, but in this case would be a son. Noel Noa wouldn't be okay with this idea. He would say that this was his kid. He needs to help take care of him now. But of course, again, Isagi's mother would shake her head and tell him that it's fine, that everything's going to be okay, and that once they're all settled in, once he's the best striker and forward in the world, and once Isagi's a little bit older, they'll give him a call, and Isagi can meet his father. But before then, she'll tell him how good of a person his father is, and how he's abroad, you could say, working on more or less something very important. And Noel Noa, he's hesitant. He doesn't know what to say. Noah wants to be around his child, wants to be in the life of his child's life and help take care of him, raise him. But he trusts his girlfriend. And the fact is, this seems like the best choice and the best idea they have at the moment. So she would leaving France and heading to Japan to be with her own family to raise her future kid. And Noel Noa would continue his path to becoming the greatest striker in the world. But in Japan, Isagi is currently getting, raised. And he would, just for layman's sakes and for easy sakes, he would take on the name of Isagi instead of Noah. Of course, he might consider taking on the name of Noah later on, but for now, he's not technically deemed as a Noah. He's deemed as Yoichi Isagi. And he loved football growing up. And this was not a surprise to his mother. Frankly, his father loved it to death and loves it to death. And frankly, it doesn't surprise her that Isagi would be extremely skilled at football. His build, even at the age of only 12, would be pretty big, way bigger than most kids. He would be able to use both of his feet in terms of scoring and dribbling the football, and frankly, his physique alone would be insane. There's so many insane things that Yoichi Isagi gains, and even the mindset and seeing the field in some insane ways. Isagi would see things many people never would. His mind for the game would be absolutely elaborate. It's actually kind of wild. His mind for the game just worked better than everyone else's, and it seems like even with the whole coaching aspect of it kind of bringing down his ego, being that he believes that it's more or less a team game, he would still be a lethal forward for his team. And in his little tournament game, when he would be taking the ball down the field, he would be up 1-0 and not down 1-0. Isagi would take the ball down and he would get by everybody. If people try to press him, it would be easily passed. And on top of that, he would easily make a move and would easily be able to score goals. These goals would more or less come very, very simply to Isagi. These goals were something that he knew were going to happen. It was just a matter of time. So the defeat in the tournament would not happen for him. And frankly, the game would end up not being very close at all, which is great. Fantastic. And Isagi would celebrate with his team and everybody would be happy. But after his celebration, he would learn something. He would learn from his mother who his true father was. A phone would then get picked up, and though that phone would be the one and only Noel Noa. Isagi would ask if this is some sort of joke. Is this really who his father is? Is that why he never met him? His mother would tell the entire story. Noel Noa would explain as well, and Isagi wouldn't know what to say. How can he really be his son? I mean, seriously. He's no way. You gotta be kidding me. The best striker in the world is my father? In which Noel Noa would tell him that he has the potential to be the best. If that's what he wants to do. If he wants to play football and he wants to be the best striker, he definitely can be the best striker. He's heard about what he's been capable of so far. What he's done. He's seen videos. He's sorry that he hasn't been there. But him and his mother thought this was for the best. In which Isagi doesn't even know what to say. But he tells him that he's happy that he at least met him now. And he's happy that his mother and himself did what was best for the more or less life of Isagi, or the life of himself. In which Isagi would say that he has no grudges against him. He hopes one day they can meet in person, but Noel Noa would say that unfortunately for now, that's going to have to wait. But he does have a message for him. That he's been invited to something that's been experimented on and working on for a while in Japan. Japan is looking for its best striker. And frankly, Isagi has the potential to be just that. And he truly believes that. Isagi would hear this and he would be excited, thrilled, and frankly, just ecstatic to even be hearing this from his, father. And Noah would tell him that the facility is known as Blue Lock. More information will be kind of told to him by a man by the name of Jinpachi Ego. He's a good man. He's passionate, but he's a good man. He'll find him interesting and definitely odd in terms of what he's learned so far, but overall, he has good intentions. Noah would tell Isagi that he hopes that he goes to that place. He hopes that he arrives, and Isagi promises that he will, because he wants to be the best striker in the world, and he hopes that he can one day play or at least share the same field as his father. Noah would then say that he needs to go, but quickly they would say goodbye and hang up. The next day, Isagi would go to this auditorium. This auditorium would be a place that all of these strikers would kind of gather up. A complete and utter packed auditorium full of many, many strikers. Isagi, well, he was excited. He would look around and something would rush through his body as if it's this pure excitement and adrenaline. He would actually see Kira there. He would talk to him for a little bit. Yes, he just beat him, but Kira was in a pretty good mind state to an extent, and frankly, he wasn't too rude, or he wasn't rude really at all with Isagi. And after a small conversation about whatever's going on, he would learn, and they would all learn, that Jinpachi Ego is giving a bit of a presentation. The presentation would involve mainly one thing: the idea that the best strikers in the world need to have egos, and Blue Lock is made for Japan to create the greatest striker alive. Ego would then pace back and forth as he's looking toward the crowd, and he sees as Kira begins to speak up about how things should be based around teamwork. And of course, Ego would see him, but then see the guy next to him. A young guy. He looks just like him. This is insane. He would look closer at Isagi slightly as if he was squinting to make sure he wasn't hallucinating. He looks like Noel Noa, but just slightly different. This is crazy. He was right. He wasn't pulling my leg. His son. He's really here. Of course, Ego would try to keep his reins and his wits about him, and he would eventually open the doors up and tell them all to head on in if they want to show that they're the best striker alive. And Isagi would walk forward, thinking that if he wants to play with his father, it doesn't mean on the same field, or it doesn't mean on the same team, but it could be the same field, that this is the step in the direction he needs. He walks through those doors, and Jinpachi Ego cannot control his smile. And he begins to think to himself that he has the unpolished gem of a century. But this unpolished gem, well, it's almost a guarantee. All they have to do is polish it just a little bit, and he has his own Noel Noa, and whatever else this kid is capable himself. In which, that's what excites Jinpachi Ego. What if he's even greater than Noel Noa? I mean, kids are prodigies nowadays. They learn so quick. This could be a spectacle. Well, Isagi would get all ready, set up, and he gets all his clothing on and he gets ready to go. He would see and look around, and he would realize that, well, he's in Team Z, or at least Building Z. It would confuse him, but he would see that he is the highest out of everybody in terms of where he is and in terms of kind of just the rankings in the entirety of the building. And this would make him kind of happy. I mean, he thinks it's cool that he's number one, but he doesn't understand how he's not number one in the grander scheme of things. But still, he doesn't really mind. With that said, eventually, the beginning of the very first test would start. And there's one person that's watching very, very intently, and that's Jinpachi Ego. He's curious to see what Isagi got. Frankly, the son of Noel Noa would pique his interest majorly, as said before, so he wants to watch as he does his thing. The game would then begin, and this game would be explained to be a game of tag. Yes, tag. It might sound odd that they're playing tag, but it's actually with a football. What they're doing is that they have about 2 minutes and 16 seconds. And if you're kicked with the ball or hit with the ball, that means you are it. You cannot use your hands, but everything else is legal. So in all technicality, you could kick somebody right in the face. But still, it all begins with the ball being kicked to someone else. And if they get hit with it, they're it. And whoever's it at the end of the 2 minutes and 16 seconds is the loser and has to lock off. Let's just say nobody in their right mind wants to lock off. Everybody wants their chance at becoming the next greatest striker, and Isagi is obviously one of them. He wants to be the greatest striker in the world. He wants to play on the same field as his father, so he knows what he needs to do, and he knows what he needs to get done. Because this is the start of all of their journeys, but this is mainly the start of his journey to becoming the greatest striker. And off the rip, one of them would receive the ball, kicking it around, trying to hit some people with it. It would be this bald or this monk-looking kid, and Isagi would just easily dodge, weave, and so on. And it would be pretty simple. But eventually, well, the monk boy by the name of Iragashi would eventually see a kid laying down completely sleeping, and he goes to kick him directly in the face with the ball. But quickly, Isagi would see this and dash forward. As he dashes forward though, he kicks the ball away from the one by the name of Bachira. He would recover the ball, or Isagi would, and he would tell the guy that he shouldn't be kicking it at somebody who's already completely asleep or unable to defend himself. That's just ridiculous. In which, that would be kind of a moral thing for Isagi, at least personally. And he would tell him that that's just not cool, and he should really think about his actions before he does them. He would kick the ball or tap the ball up one time and kick the ball, hurling it to Iragashi at insane speeds. But as Iragashi watches the ball get hucked to him as if it's about to slam into his jaw, he immediately would duck. And as he ducks, it would slam straight into one Kira, basically throwing him into the wall. Everyone stands there in complete awe at the fact that Isagi's power is insane. How is he able to do that? He was able to kick the ball at such insane speeds, and it was as if he was shooting a bullet out of a gun. It seemed as if it was unstoppable. There was just no way it would have been stopped. Bachira would then wake up, or at least he would sort of wake up, and he would see exactly what happened. He would commend Isagi, saying that was one hell of a kick. He's impressed. That was awesome. And Isagi would look at him but wouldn't say much, and then look back at Kira. Kira would slowly get up, but he would be hurting, but the time would then eventually tick down, and his dreams of becoming a striker would fall with the time itself. And it would be over. It would be all wrapped up, and Kira would begin to freak out, saying that it shouldn't be him, that he's not the worst here. There's no way. He's nowhere near the worst here. And he begins to show the ego that was within him, but too late, and frankly, his time here is over. It's done, and it's completely wrapped up. Isagi has now ended the career, or the future career, of one striker, and for some reason, deep down inside, there isn't that much remorse. He's kind of off-putted by this. Why doesn't he feel bad? He doesn't feel bad at all. But why? And frankly, it's this feeling, an overwhelming feeling, of him knowing that he's scratching and clawing closer and closer to him becoming the greatest striker. The ego of himself that's buried deep inside is slowly but surely getting dug out. It's as if he's shoveling at it over and over And soon, very soon, that ego of his will be fully awakened. An ego that he's never felt before. But with that said, Kira's gone and there's 11 of them left. Ego would explain something to all of them. Would explain exactly what everything is going to ensue and what's going to happen. What he explains, well, is that now that there's 11 of them, they will create a team. Yeah, a team full of strikers. In which this would confuse everybody to an extent, but this whole thing would be explained by Ego that a team of strikers is how everything started for football. That all the strikers, well, would pile up on one team and everybody would try to get their own goals. That is what football used to be, and now they're going to have to figure out a way to balance it. In which he tells them all that at the end of the day, some of them will work together. They will find maybe correlation in what's going on, and other times, well, people will betray them. People on their very own team will betray them, throw them aside, and will prey on their downfall. That's what it is, and that's what's going to happen, and that's just life. And he tells them all that he wishes them good luck, and he tells them that he hopes to see these unpolished gems truly shine very soon. The screen would turn off, and they would all sit there in silence for a little bit, thinking about what their next move should truly be. And frankly, they wouldn't have that much time to think, because the game against Team X would come barreling toward them. They would walk out through the halls, and when they would arrive on the field, they would all speak about what is to come and what they believe is going to happen. In which Isagi says that they really have to try their best to play this as a team, at least to a certain extent. Yes, he knows they all want to get their own goals. They all want to do this or that and score here and score there. They want to be the best on this team. He understands that. But at the same time, he's going to be real with them. He's going to show them reality. The reality is that not all 11 of them can be the best on this team. It's that simple. And they have to use their heads, use the knowledge of football that they've gained throughout the years to execute plans and execute more or less exploiting weaknesses of the other team. In which it sounds like their team is on board and it sounds like everyone is in agreement, but let's be honest, all plans go out the window right when the ball gets kind of pushed off and kind of passed around. Because once it starts getting passed around, chaos begins to break loose. Isagi had a feeling that this would happen. He hates to admit it because he didn't want it to happen necessarily, but it did. Chaos would break loose like crazy, and he would just sigh. And there's one person on the other team that is a big monster of a man. Isagi sees him and is pretty taken back by it. I mean, he's never seen this person before, but he can tell that he's just biding and waiting for his time to strike. And once the ball goes loose, the one Shohei Bato would break free to more or less try his hand at getting the ball and scoring himself. But Isagi would read this and be directly in front of him. And as Shohei Bato tries to make a move, well, this is the first time Shohei Bato would feel more or less inferior for the first time ever. He would feel inferior at the point that Isagi absolutely outclasses him. Isagi would steal the ball, taking it from him and immediately bolting off while everybody struggles and is out of position. He knows that the field has opened up in a crazy and brand new way, so he's going to utilize that, and he's going to utilize that for his own advantage. He immediately would see openings, and let's just say everybody would panic and try and stop him, but soon they would realize the range that Isagi has with the power he has. Shooting a goal from a good distance, probably 35 meters away, and scoring with ease. He would look at everybody and tell them all that he said that he knew this would happen if they didn't coordinate properly, but he'll bring things into his own hands if he needs to. Isagi would obviously be the person that is the best on Team Z. There is no doubt about it. There's nobody better, and at least at this point, there's nobody even close. And everybody is kind of taken back by this. He looks so similar to somebody they know. His movement, the way he shoots, the way he acts, the way he moves on the field, and the way he sees the field. Who is he like? And let's just say, some of the people there realize exactly who he plays like. He plays like the #1 striker in the world, Noel Noa. And everybody believes that he must be some mimic. Maybe he just really liked Noel Noa growing up, and so on and so forth. So he tried to idolize his game after him. Not a bad strategy if you want to become the greatest striker ever. So it does kind of make sense. Isagi would kind of continue throughout this game, and utilizing his overwhelming size, strength, and the fact that he's ambidextrous, with basically being able to use both of his feet, is something that not many people there, if not anybody, can guard. Because at the end of the day, these are all strikers. None of them are really defenders, and frankly, they haven't been evolved into a set defender just yet. If any of them really had experience as a defender, it really wouldn't matter that much anyways, because they haven't dedicated their life to being one. They've all dedicated their life to being a striker. So the weaknesses that Team X would have would be glaring, would be obvious, and the son of Noel Noa, Yoichi Isagi, would absolutely demolish the team. And once his team starts kind of falling in line in a way, showing that they're willing to work together, it becomes that much easier. And Isagi realizes how good some of his own players are. Bachira has a beautiful way of passing the ball. In fact, probably better dribbling, actually far better dribbling than what Isagi has. Isagi's dribbling is pretty good, but Bachira is so creative. Kunigami, he has range very similar to Isagi's, maybe not as far, but the fact is that Isagi can get him open goals very easily. It seems like Kunigami will actually be able to more or less enhance himself throughout this time as well, and maybe Kunigami and Isagi will be the perfect people to kind of feed off each other, because they're very similar in stature, and Kunigami himself can learn a lot from Isagi. On top of that, he has someone like Gagamaru. Gagamaru is extremely athletic, and Isagi loves someone like this because, for one, he could easily play the goalie position if he wanted to, but they can make some insane downfield plays that he's very interested in doing, maybe the next time they actually have a serious game. But for now, Isagi is fine with the idea that he can shut down Shohei Bado, and on top of that, he's okay with the idea that he can help his team get better and kind of slot in terms of, well, just being a team. He knows that being a team is difficult. He knows that evolving and transcending beyond just all 11 strikers is hard. They need to figure out what their weapons and their abilities and their skills fit what roles, and how could they utilize their striker abilities for different roles and actually make those roles / positions even better. That's what Isagi wants to do, and that's what he believes should happen, because at the end of the day, football is a game of chess, and he truly believes that. Football is a game that if you watch closely, you think you can have such huge advantages over every single team. And that's exactly what happened with Team X. On top of just Isagi outclassing them, this game would end up leading to a 5-0 victory for Team Z, and Team Z would show absolute domination, but eventually show good coordination toward the end of the game. With that game completely wrapped up, They all celebrate. They're happy, but Isagi's already back on the books, looking at film, figuring out what they should do. He wants to figure out exactly what plans and what should ensue, who should go where, and eventually he would come to the conclusion that everything should kind of flow through him, just in terms of what he can do. But Kunigami, in terms of his striking ability, he can definitely float around and score goals, more or less just all around. So that's great. The main ball handler could be him, but it also could be flip-flopped to Bachira as well, being that he's very creative with his ball handling. But he does seem kind of wild from time to time, as if he's kind of leashing himself. And of course, Isagi would point this out to himself while he's doing a bit of studying to figure out what they want to do. He does his research on the next team they're going to be playing, which is Team Y. And with that research, he learns a lot, and a lot more than what he probably should have, because he thinks that the game plan that he's creating is probably just sound. He can tell just by the way people play, the way people move, and the way people act, that these certain people are better than others. Now, with that said, does that mean that's a guarantee? Of course not. But he has his hunches, and he knows kind of what a good striker, a great striker, and different facilitators would look like, and what game plans would look like based on that team. So with all that said and done, Isagi has the game plan. Isagi knows what they want to do, and he's ready to take on this next challenge so that he can blitz through the competition, get through this first selection, because he wants to get on the field with his father as soon as possible. And he'll make sure that he wins, defeats, and obliterates anybody he has to get there. So is his ego finally rising? Is his ego finally coming out after being buried for so long? It seems like, well, the meeting of his father, that one call, set off something inside of Isagi that made him into an even more lethal striker than you could imagine. Now, with that said, I hope y'all enjoyed part 1 of What If Isagi Was Noel Noa's Son. And if you did, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Later.